All right, today we're diving into a really big story, a huge transformation for a name that, let's be honest, almost everyone in Indonesia knows, ACE Hardware. But this isn't just about a name change. This is the story of what happens next.
So I want you to think about this for a second. What happens when a household name, a brand that is absolutely everywhere, just changes? Especially when they're at the very top of their game. It's a massive risk, right? Well, that's exactly the story we're getting into.
Okay, so here it is, plain and simple. On one side, you've got the name we all knew, PT ACE Hardware Indonesia TBK. And on the other, the new name, PT Aspiration Hidup Indonesia TBK, or AHI for short. Now this might just look like a corporate name swap, but trust me, this one little change is the key to unlocking a huge strategic pivot.
Yeah, and let's get one thing straight right away. We're not just talking about a new logo or a fresh coat of paint here. This is a full-blown reinvention of the company's entire identity. It's them planting a flag and saying, we're going in a completely new direction.
And you know, what's so fascinating about this whole thing is that this wasn't a desperate move. This wasn't a company in trouble trying to save itself. No, this was a calculated, deliberate choice they made when they were stronger than ever. And that, right there, makes the why behind it all the more compelling.
So, before we can really get our heads around just how big of a deal this change is, we gotta go back. We need to look at the legacy they built, the foundation they're standing on. So let's do a quick trip down memory lane.
It all kicked off back in 1995 with just one store in Karawaci. Then, boom, 2007 hits. They go public on the stock exchange, and that just pours jet fuel on their growth. And you can see how all that momentum, all that history, was building up to this one pivotal moment in 2024, the total transformation.
And when I say growth, it was absolutely explosive. Before this rebrand, this company wasn't just a player. It was an undisputed giant in the Indonesian retail scene. Let's actually look at the numbers, because they really paint a picture of just how massive they were.
And this is the part that just doesn't quite add up at first glance, right? Usually when you hear rebrand, you think, oh, they must be in trouble. But that's not what was happening here at all. They were making this massive change when they were flying higher than ever. It's the complete opposite of what you'd expect. Get this, in 2024, the same year they decided to flip the script, they pulled in 8.58 trillion rupiah in net sales. Let me say that again, 8.58 trillion. That's not just a good number. It was the single highest sales figure in their entire history, ever.
And it's not just about the money. Look at their physical footprint. It's just as wild. They had over 228 stores already, but were they slowing down? Not a chance. They added another 20 stores in 2024 alone. They were popping up everywhere.
Just look at this chart. The momentum is undeniable. You can literally see it climbing year after year, 6.76 trillion, 7.62, and then that incredible peak at 8.58 trillion. It just begs the question, right? Why on earth would you mess with a formula that is so clearly, absolutely winning? Okay, so now we get to the heart of it, the real reason. This wasn't about fixing something that was broken. It was about throwing out the old recipe, even though it was a winner, and creating a brand new one from scratch, one that was 100% their own.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The leadership team said it perfectly in their 2024 report. This quote really says it all. They felt that after all this time, now is the right time to establish its own identity. They wanted a brand they could be proud of, something created locally that could truly thrive in its own home country. It's about national pride.
So really, this was a declaration of independence. The best way I can think to describe it is like a graduation. For almost 30 years, they were part of this incredibly successful partnership, right? But now they're saying, okay, we've learned, we've grown, and now it's time to step out and build our own legacy on our own terms.
And this whole pivot goes way deeper than just the name on the door. It's woven into the very fabric of the company. They rolled out a whole new governance philosophy they're calling ETAK. It stands for ethical behavior, transparency, accountability, and sustainability. So you see, it's not just a marketing thing. It's a fundamental shift in their corporate DNA.
Okay, so that's the why and the how on the corporate side. But what does all this actually mean for you and me, the customer walking into the store? What does this new future actually look like? Let's dive in.
The new name itself, Aspirasi Hidup Indonesia, is basically their entire mission statement packed into 3 words. It translates to Indonesia's life aspirations, and that right there tells you everything.
They're moving beyond just selling you stuff. Their new goal is to inspire a better life for families all across Indonesia. It's a much bigger vision.
And here it is, the new name you'll be seeing everywhere, AZKO. But pay really close attention to their new slogan, Your Home Life Improvement Partner. See that little word in there, life? That's not an accident. That is a massive signal. They're shifting from just home improvement, hammers and nails, to home life improvement. It's about your entire lifestyle.
And AZKO isn't going it alone. It's now the flagship brand in this whole new ecosystem under the main company, AHI. You've also got Toys Kingdom, which is a massive toy retailer with stores all over the country. And then there's Pendabupo, which is this really cool concept that supports over 250 local Indonesian artisans. So when you put it all together, you realize they're building this really powerful, diverse retail empire. Now, to make this whole new ecosystem work, you need everyone on the same page, right? So they also introduced a new set of corporate values, all wrapped up in the acronym INSPIRE. Things like being innovative, spirited, professional, you get the idea. The goal is to build these principles right into the company culture so that every employee is living this new brand and delivering on that new promise to customers.
So if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. This is a story of deliberate evolution. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. This was a choice. A powerful, strategic move made from a position of strength, not weakness.
It really is like that graduation we talked about. They took almost 30 years of success, learned everything they could from a great global partnership, and said, okay, we're ready. Ready to step out on their own and build an independent, truly national legacy for a whole new generation. And so that leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? For decades, millions and millions of people grew up with ACE hardware. It was a part of their lives. So can this brand new local name, AZKO, actually win over the hearts and minds of those same people? Can it build that same level of trust? They've built an incredible foundation for sure, but whether this bold graduation truly succeeds, well, only time will tell.